so that all works out. Can you hear her?
I'm still here.
Susan, should we stop eating?
Is it there?
All right, so we're going to give a few words together. First, the rabbi is going to speak, and then my lovely wife who came up with this idea will be speaking, and then I will say a few. So please, Rabbi.
So once again, welcome, Bruchim Habayim. I can see that you've really gotten a sense today of what a special place this is, and obviously what a special, special day this is. So I'm really delighted to welcome all of you here and to really thank you for being here as we celebrate. Where is Zachary?
He's right over here.
Okay, this amazing young man, Zachary Isaac Art Zachariah Yitzchak ben Daniel v'Shoshana. So in Jewish tradition, we recognize the sanctity of time. Much more than we think about holiness of place, we think about holiness in time. And in fact, the very first mention of the word kadosh, holy, is found in the first book of the Torah, in the book of Genesis, in reference not to a place, but to a time, to Shabbat, the seventh day, of course, on which God rested. And it says in Genesis, and God blessed the seventh day and made it kadosh, holy. So we, as created in the image of God, act in the image of God when we, as God's covenantal partners, sanctify time. We mark it. We don't let it pass by unnoticed. This is one of the great gifts we have as Jews, to really be called to notice the passage of time, so that we all see how the years fly by, right, and speed up as we get older. So we recognize it, we acknowledge it, and we sanctify it. We mark our moments and we recognize that time is such a precious gift, and that a lifetime is really a blink of an eye in the context of eternity. Every human life is infinitely valuable. And so we acknowledge this by marking the passage of life stages. The age of bar mitzvah is one of these very important moments of transition, when a boy enters into adolescence and into a new chapter along his journey. We're always evolving, we're always changing. Every day is a new beginning. We really notice that. We acknowledge the passing of time. But this officially, in a Jewish sense, begins a new chapter in this beautiful life and in the life of Zachary's family. Each chapter of a life is really a sacred part, a holy part of a sacred story. So whether or not a young person leads prayers or chants from the Torah or enjoys a grand party in his honor when he reaches the age of 13, or of course a girl when she reaches the age of bat mitzvah, that young person is officially, according to our tradition, bar mitzvah, literally son of mitzvah, obligated, accountable to Jewish tradition in a new way. But much more importantly, connected to the Jewish story, a link in this Jewish chain in a new and different way. Really, it's about, right, being Jewish is really about an awareness of being connected to something larger than ourselves. And that is the people of Israel, both living today and throughout history. So Zachary has always been a part of that story, but today we mark this moment that he is taking his place as a Jewish adult now in the unfolding Jewish story. Zachary may not be aware in the same way that we are of this kind of interconnectedness, or of the story, the whole story of which he is a part. But we can be certain that today, Zachary, you are so characteristically open-hearted and joyful in such a pure way, and is aware that you're aware of and receiving so much love. There is so much love in this room, so much pride, so much nachas in this room that Zachary, for sure, is taking in the same way that he's able to give so much of that to all of us. So Zachary is marking and sanctifying this special moment in his life. And just as the waters of the Mayim Chaim, the living waters of the mikveh, embraced Zachary and buoyed him up a few minutes ago, his community of loved ones, all of us, do the same now. You are all embracing him like living waters. And we pray that Zachary today and for the rest of his life will be nourished by these living waters of connection, of community, of love and pride. Our tradition teaches us that each of us is created in the image of God, and each of us contains a spark of the divine within us. And because of that, each of us is entirely unique and infinitely valuable, an entire world each of us is. And it's really our sacred task to be ourselves, to manifest our essential self, our own unique neshama in this world, as authentically as we can. Each of us has a neshama that is an absolutely essential thread in the fabric of creation. So our sacred task is to live our own unique life, to be a vessel for the holy in this. We can make God present in the world through our actions, and to do this, to be our best, our truest selves, to live out and manifest our neshama, we don't need to walk a certain way, to speak, or to study. The neshama is just a magical thing in all of its fullness. And to be able to bring that true self to the world unmediated and unafraid is a lot more difficult for most of us than it might sound. Perhaps it's more difficult for us when we have broader use of our physical abilities or of language than what Zachary has. But in listening to Susan and Daniel speak about Zachary, one thing was so clear, that Zachary has blessed them and all whom he meets with a powerful presence that embodies goodness and holiness and love and joy. A presence that bespeaks a beautiful receptivity to love and to laughter, and that he gives so much love and laughter to the world. I must say that to listen to Susan and Daniel speak about Zachary, it is, as you all probably already know and will experience again today, a profound and a holy experience. His parents told me that they feel he is like a drop from heaven, and that Zachary gives more to them and to others than they could ever give to him. That Zachary embodies what most of us aspire to and is the closest thing to pure love. So Zachary, you embody the kind of connectedness and compassion that our sacred texts and our rituals hold most dear, bringing goodness and holiness and kindness and love and joy into this world in a way that is very clearly unique. Our sacred task as Jews is to sanctify the everyday, to infuse the world, even in all of its brokenness, with holiness and goodness and love, meeting the world with that full and authentic neshama. It's challenging for most of us. It seems it's less challenging for Zachary, and we have a lot to learn from him. The limitations Zachary has have clearly enabled him, in his parents' words, to be in some way more actualized. So today, we celebrate you, Zachary. We celebrate all that you've been, all that you are, that smile, all that you will be. We celebrate the gift of your precious neshama and the holiness that you've brought into the world in the last 13 years. We celebrate Susan and Daniel and all who have accompanied him physically and emotionally and spiritually and have enabled Zachary to manifest his tremendous gifts in this world. On cue.
Don't talk about me.
So I know that all of us eagerly anticipate the next chapters of this journey and feel blessed by the opportunity to know and to love Zachary. So I invite you for this moment in time, before we recite the Shehechianu blessing again, because you can never say it too many times on a day like today, the blessing that gives thanks for this moment. I invite you to reflect upon where you have come, from where you've come, appreciate where you are today, and appreciate where you're going. But I want to say one more thing before we say Shehechianu that I need to say because it's something Susan shared with me that a friend of Zachary's shared about Zachary at this friend's own bar mitzvah. He's a camp friend of Zachary's, and he said that he made a friend who has a condition that makes him unable to speak and makes it harder for him to walk than most people. It might have been difficult for a kid like that to feel like he belonged. A lot of people saw the disability in him, but not the ability. My camp friends and I saw his ability to contribute to the group, to make friends, and to count. And with that, let's recite Shehechianu blessing again. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higyanu, la'zman haseh. Mazel tov, Zachary.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi. It was very lovely.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Mazel tov.
It was very lovely, Rabbi.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Such an honor. I'll stand.